Hey everyone, Poindexter here. We're about to begin our first mission of B-17 Flying Fortress Leader, so let's jump in and select our campaign. The campaign is The Air War Begins, which lasts from August to December 1942. This is a good introductory campaign as the number of Luftwaffe squadrons and their response is lower than some other campaigns, which will give us better odds and maybe take fewer losses. This campaign, like many others, has certain special rules that reflect the history of this particular time in 1942. One is regarding the aircraft factory targets. Only those marked AC-1 to AC-14 are legitimate targets in this campaign. So we'll go to the aircraft factory target cards on the main board and remove all target cards that do not fall into this range, and we'll set them off to the side. Next, only airfield targets AF-1 to AF-16 are to be used. So we'll go to the airfield targets on the main board, remove all target cards that don't fall into this range, and set them off to the side. The next special rule involves the Luftwaffe response. In this case, a -2 modifier is applied when we roll for Luftwaffe response. We'll put a marker next to the German commander deck as a reminder to apply this modifier. Finally, we are tasked with destroying 10 airfield victory points by the end of the campaign, or else the result will be an automatic dismal evaluation, regardless of whatever damage we do to other targets. Now we move to the right side of the card. At the top, we are told how many Luftwaffe squadrons are to be placed on the strategic map. In this case, 8. We roll 2 10-sided dice, add the result, and place the squadron counters in the appropriate numbered hexes. We do this for each counter. After rolling for all 8 squadrons, this is where the Luftwaffe airfields are located. The rules state that hexes 9, 12, 13, and 15 are German critical hexes. Therefore, these hexes are always defended by German squadrons. Since we have 2 hexes with more than one counter, we'll move 1 squadron from each and place them in hexes 13 and 15. Hex number 12 is still not filled, so we'll move the squadron from hex 14 to hex 12. All critical German hexes are now covered. Now we draw 3 random Luftwaffe airfield targets and place them in the target area of the game board. Next, we'll draw 3 random aircraft factory targets and place them in the target area. Taking a closer look at the factory targets, we see that the supply and victory points for all 3 targets is 2. This indicates that we gain 2 victory points by destroying the factory, and that the factories also generate 2 supply points. We'll place the supply markers in the aircraft factory monthly output area. Notice the 3 supply in white. This denotes permanent supply. These supply points cannot be destroyed by the player, so there will always be a minimum of 3 supply points generated at the end of every month. Working our way down the campaign card, we come to the initial theater placement. In this campaign, we place a marker in the Torch sector of the Med Theater and one in the Stalingrad sector of the USSR Theater. As indicated, this campaign does use secondary missions. Before shuffling the secondary mission cards, we remove all cards that do not take place in 1942. After that, we shuffle, place the deck in the secondary card area, and draw the top card. Our secondary mission is Oil Campaign 1. Following the requirements, we are to draw 4 oil target cards. and we place them in the target area. The requirements of this secondary mission is to destroy at least 7 oil victory points in 2 months, or by the end of October. If we are successful, all bandit attacks will be reduced to only 1 turn for a month, and we also add a +3 to the Mediterranean theater modifier. If we fail, we increase the number of attack turns by 2 to a maximum of 3 for a month. We also add a -2 modifier to the Med theater. Last, there are no available player technologies in this campaign, so we have completed the campaign setup. Now, we'll use our starting SO points to purchase our initial bomber and fighter groups. Before we begin selecting our starting groups, let's talk about optional rules. There are several optional rules in the game, and we'll be using one of them for this campaign: the Veteran Novice Rules. At this point in 1942, the Luftwaffe had a good number of experienced pilots. Using this chart, we see that in 1942 campaigns, we'll need to add 5 veteran bandit counters into the standard mix and 0 novice counters, which we will do. We also receive an extra 8 SO points at the start of the campaign, which gives us 58 SO points to work with. SO is short for Special Option Points. These points will be used to purchase bomber and fighter groups, commanders, bombs, promote groups, or replace lost aircraft. We also use this chart to dictate what experience level our initial groups will begin the campaign. In this campaign, our starting groups will contain 2 recruits, 1 green, and 1 average. The asterisk indicates what experience level our future group purchases will start. In this case, green. Our first group purchase will be the 4th Fighter Group, a green level Spitfire, which costs 8 SO points. This group automatically comes with a commander, Anderson, who has an out-of-the-sun trait. This trait negates any bandit attacker that uses the out-of-the-sun tactic. It also allows the group to attack an extra bandit. Normally, a full-strength fighter group can attack 2 bandits, and a weakened one, 1. Next, we'll spend 16 SO points to purchase an average level B-24, the 93rd Bomb Group. B-24s are less durable than B-17s, but they can carry more bombs. Plus, only B-24s can perform anti-submarine missions against U-boats. We'll spend 12 SO points to purchase a recruit-level B-17 group, the 305th. This group also comes with a free commander, LeMay, who has the Suppress trait, which gives a -2 modifier for all bandit attacks against this group for 1 turn. The Formation +2 modifier increases the chance for the group to get back in formation if already dispersed, or remain in formation if attacked by a bandit tactic that causes disruption. Finally, we'll spend 12 SO points for a second recruit-level B-17 group, the 97th. That leaves us with 10 SO points, which we will save for the next week. According to the rules, we can demote one group by 1 skill level to promote a different group 1 skill level, which can be done many times, but only one group can be promoted or demoted in this manner. In this case, we'll promote the 97th group 1 level to green, which boosts their air-to-ground stats a bit, and we'll demote the 93rd group from average to green. We'll place the group counters near the tactical board. Next, we'll draw for the German commander. And we draw Commander Schroer. Taking a closer look at his card, we see that he uses the out-of-the-sun tactic. Anytime we draw a bandit with the indicator OS, the bandit will use that tactic against our groups. Commander Schroer also has the U-boat support tactic, which means we'll have to place U-boat counters on the map and deal with them. First, we roll the indicated number of dice, the third number. If the die roll is equal to or greater than the second number, in this case 6 or more, then we place a U-boat counter with the matching SO count, a 3, on the map. For each U-boat counter placed, we lose the indicated number of SO points each week. Fortunately, U-boats can be destroyed by an anti-submarine mission. Glad we purchased that B-24. But it's too bad we decided to demote the group, as it applied a -1 modifier to the group's air-to-ground attacks. We roll 3 10-sided dice, and all 3 dice are higher than 6. Regretfully, we place 3 U-boat counters on the map. We'll need to deal with these U-boats quickly, as we will lose a total of 9 SO points per week, which leaves us 6 SO points to work with. Not nearly enough to purchase new bomber or fighter groups, which we will need as the campaign goes on. The good news is, we have those 10 extra SO points to work with, which could buy us a bit more time to deal with. That does it for the game setup, and we've clearly got a lot of work to do. So let's pick our target, arm our bombers, and get to work. Before we begin mission planning, there's one minor correction that needs to be done. After rereading the U-boat deployment rules, we are to place the U-boat counters in the ETO tactical targets boxes and not on the strategic map. So we'll move them to that location. Also, I feel I need to mention that although I am playing this game on my computer through Tabletop Simulator, all dice rolls are done outside the game. All the dice roll numbers you will see are the actual numbers I roll, and not made up to fudge things in my favor. I find Tabletop Simulator dice rolling effective, but a little fudgy. So, back to the game. We've already gone through most of the weekly start sequence. There are no weekly SO points to receive since this is the start of the campaign. We've already purchased our groups and adjusted our SO points, and we've decided not to purchase any new commanders at this time. We'll move on to the morning briefing. Our target for today will be Airfield Number 2 in Wevelgem, France, located in Hex 11. This is a short-range target, only 1 hex away from the UK base, so we'll have fighter escort all the way there and back. We're allowed a maximum of 3 bombers, and we will use all 3 for this attack. The plan is to let my B-24 group, the 93rd, lead the mission. If we destroy the airfield, the B-24 group will gain 5 experience points, which will promote it to average. In the rules, if your bomber groups destroy the target, the lead group gains 5 experience points, while the remaining ones gain 2. With the 93rd leading the group, the experience gain will increase the air-to-ground modifier from -1 to 0, and give me a better chance of destroying the U-boats when I send the B-24s out next week on an anti-submarine mission. The morning briefing is complete, and we'll move to the pre-flight sequence. Now we'll choose our bombs. Looking at the airfield target card, we notice it has an air-to-ground modifier of +1 and the dispersed trait. Fortunately, we have bombs that deal with dispersed targets very nicely. M30 bombs are great for taking out airfields. The D+2 indicates that these bombs add a +2 modifier to dispersed targets, even better, the M30 costs no SO points, so we'll arm all of our bombers with these bombs. The number in the green box is the bomb weight. Looking at the B-24, we notice it has a tonnage rating of 8, which means it can carry 4 M30 bombs. The B-17s have a tonnage rating of 6, which means they can carry 3 M30s. Our escorts, the Spitfires, have no tonnage rating and cannot carry bombs. We'll place our bomber and fighter counters in the order we want them to fly to the target. We'll have the Spitfire fly escort in the high escort position, which will cancel the out-of-the-sun tactic used by our German commander. We'll also place our bomber and fighter cards in the same way. Place our commander's tactics counters on them, and load our bombs. Now, we'll move to the strategic map and place our mission counters and waypoints. Since the target area is only 1 hex away, there is little need to place waypoint counters, since we're using the same route to the target and back. Now we roll for the Luftwaffe response, using the chart on our current German commander. And we also subtract 2 from the die roll, due to the campaign rules, which results in a 0. But since that number is not valid on the chart, we'll make it a 1 instead. A poor response means the hex containing your mission aircraft is attacked by up to 2 Luftwaffe squadrons in that hex. Since there are no squadrons in Hex 11, this mission should be close to a milk run. Before moving our group, we draw a target-bound event card, and we will draw Tailwind, adding a +2 modifier range to our fighter groups, which is unnecessary since our fighters will already have plenty of range. Formation checks are performed only when you are directed to do so from an event card, or when a bomber group is dispersed. Since neither of those apply, we ignore the check and continue. Since there are no bandit attacks due to the poor Luftwaffe response, the remaining target-bound events do not apply to this mission. So we'll start the over-target resolution phase. First over the target is the 93rd Bomb Group. Before we drop our bombs, we'll first need to resolve any flak attacks against our group. Looking at the target card, we see that we are to roll 2 dice for every flak attack. Only 1 flak attack is made for every bomber group. Fighters are ignored. A modified roll of 7 or higher will cause damage to our group. Rolling a 7 or 8 will cause 1 hit. Rolling a 9 will cause 2 hits. And rolling a 10 will cause 3 hits. Looking at the damage indicators, we notice that our bombers will have to do 10 points of damage to destroy the airfield. The other numbers refer to different damage levels. In this case, 2 to 4 hits from our bombs will cause light damage, 5 to 6 hits will cause medium damage, and 7 to 9 hits will cause heavy damage. Now we'll roll 2 dice for flak attacks. And the B-24 is hit hard with a 9 and 10, a total of 5 hits. This accurate flak causes serious damage to the group and knocks its status down from OK to shaken, which greatly affects the air-to-ground stats, as the group will now be bombing with a -3 modifier. The 93rd Group, shaken from its heavy losses, lines up for the bomb run. The M30 hits on a modified 8 or higher, with a 10 causing 2 hits to the target. The modifiers for this bomb run are a -3 for the 93rd Group, a +1 modifier for the airfield, and a +2 modifier for the M30 bomb against dispersed targets, for a final modifier of 0. The B-24 rolls 4 dice for hits, and we roll an 8, 1, 7, and 5. Only the 8 applies to this attack, so we score 1 hit on the airfield. Now the 305th makes their run. We roll 2 dice for flak attacks, and we roll 2 3s. But the B-17 has a durability of 1, so we subtract 1 from both dice, which leaves us with a modified 2. Either way, the 305th fares much better than the 93rd and suffers no losses. The B-17s line up for the bomb run and will attack with a -1 modifier, but we add +1 for the airfield and a +2 for the M30 bombs, with a final modifier of +2. We roll 3 dice, and the result is a 3, 5, and 6. Adding +2 to all dice rolls, only the 6 hits the target, with 1 point of damage. Our last group, the 97th, begins its bomb run. We roll 2 dice for flak, and we roll a 7 and 8, but we subtract 1 from the dice rolls due to the B-17's durability rating, for a final result of 6 and 7. The 7 causes damage, so the 97th takes 1 hit. The 97th will bomb with a +1 modifier, in addition to the +1 for the airfield and +2 for the M30s, for a final modifier of +4. The 97th lets loose her bombs, and the B-17 pounds the airfield with a 1, 9, and 10. With the modifier, the final results are a 5, 13, and 14, for a total of 4 hits. The bombers leave the airfield behind, causing only medium damage. But before we move back to the UK base, we will draw a return event card. And we draw on the ball, which designates one group as fast for the homebound flight, which causes no effect. And we return safely to England. Since we did medium damage to Airfield 2, we will replace the numbered damage marker with a medium damage marker and place it back in the target area. Any damaged target that does not get attacked for a week must perform a repair roll. If the roll is greater than the number indicated on the card, the target is reduced 1 damage value. For example, from medium damage to light damage. Our milk run turned disastrous for the B-24s of the 93rd Group. Their losses to flak were severe. As a result, they will be practically ineffective against the U-boats, so they will need to be rested in order to give them time to replenish their numbers. Resting a group, or not using it for a mission, will allow it to gain back 3 damage points. Our recruit level 305th Group did not help either with their terrible bombing. The stars of the mission were definitely the 97th Group, which caused the most damage. They'll get an extra round of drinks at the Officers Club tonight. Though our groups did not destroy the target, they did gain 1 experience point for their efforts, which we will note in the player log. Still, this mission should have gone a lot better. If the 93rd had not taken such heavy losses from flak, their bomb run results would have been enough to destroy the airfield. We can't afford too many setbacks such as this. That wraps up our first mission of B-17 Flying Fortress Leader. Tune in next time for our second mission, which will hopefully go a bit smoother. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk again soon.